Boy, just be yourself. If people don't like it, if you're being yourself, fuck them.
Big Los,
Hollywood Kev,
and not like the Joe Budden podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Noize. If you haven't yet, go ahead and follow us. He said those are the pea shooters.
Yeah, those are my shots fired. Those are 22.
If you haven't yet, go ahead and follow us on the big three: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Noize Podcast, and of course, follow everything Beat Network at beatnetworkonline.com. Go to the noizemerch.threadless.com and get yourself some Noize merch. Buy it, wear it, and rock it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're gonna go with. Maybe we'll see what happens. What else is there? Download the Beat Network app on Amazon Video on your Fire Stick. You follow everything Beat Network there, and just keep following everything Beat Network that is Beat Network, because Beat Network is Beat Network.
And if you haven't heard it, man, like he said, we have an actual app.
Get involved.
Fucks with it.
Get involved. And not gonna expand on it too much, but if y'all really understood how lit my fire is right now to make sure that this shit succeeds. God damn, trust me.
His name is like what was his name? Sotar in Thor Ragnarok. You ever have everything which is flames.
Oh, got you. I was sitting there like, who? Then I think about it, I was like, oh, yep,
Big
I know exactly what you're talking
dude.
about.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Full Sotar mode.
Yeah.
Kevtar. How are you, sir? I think this is episode 198.
Is it?
I think so.
For real?
Yeah.
Damn.
This is 198. We're crunching in on 200, and I've been successful in all of my nicknames.
You know, I remember when we were like episode 50.
I remember we were episode -1 and -2 because we couldn't get this shit going properly.
Yeah. Shit. But we're here though.
We're here though, goddammit. But anyway, how are you, sir?
I've been better, but I've definitely been worse.
Right.
But I'm breathing, so I can't complain.
Exactly.
You know, can't really complain too much.
We got to be thankful for the things that we have, and one of the things that we have is breath.
Yeah. How about you, sir? How are you?
Same thing.
Same
kind of like how I was saying in that little mini rant. There's been a very, very big shift in my life that I am currently maneuvering through, and I wholeheartedly believe I'm going to maneuver through it successfully.
Oh yeah,
and bounce back in the end. But right now, it's trash. Yeah, it's pretty fucking trash.
I get it.
But you know, which I guess leaning into the last episode, which you have to apologize for, ties into as to why an episode didn't happen last week. I actually got a text today from a listener. It was like, B Network seems like it's been kind of quiet, which is completely unfair because we definitely still have Back to the Classics who hasn't missed a beat whatsoever. But the Noize had definitely took our time last week because we both were in a weird place. Yeah. So
I want to be better at like when we don't have an episode or it's going to be late. We got to be better on like letting people
communicating
know.
it. Absolutely.
I guess at least for me, I guess I get so caught up in like really ain't a lot of people listening. So what I mean, who not necessarily who cares, but who cares. But in actuality, people do listen. So I gotta put out there like, yo, we're gonna be late or no episode this week. Check last episode, something like that. Just like you said, communicating.
Just communicating better. And really, it does become hard at times because other humans go through certain shit, what I'm saying, which keeps them from, dealing with whatever they have to deal with, especially on a professional side. But you often forget where we can't really just take the regular human approach to it to just kind of go on radio silent. We still kind of have to make, let it be known. Cause I remember, I think it was year 4, I want to say 2019, 2020, when everything was just shitty, what I'm saying?
Right.
And we was just, we were radio silence for weeks, you know what I mean? You're grateful, what I'm saying? And you're thankful to the people who just understood out the gate, what happens with, with human shit. But then there are people who, listen to the show, as their recreation. And it's just like, nah, we ain't heard from you. So if you don't pop back up, we out. And a lot of people took those.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. And a lot of people took that route. You know, they're gradually coming back, which is dope. But, you know, definitely make sure that we address everybody properly. Just know shit has been shitty. Life has been lifing, as we titled the episode with Race to Gym. But, you know, sometimes certain things need to happen to really kick you back into gear. And I'm really getting into gear. And hopefully some opportunities that we're sticking our neck out for now come through in the ways that they did in 2019. So yeah, we're definitely going with that. However, off of the sad talk, I'm gonna give a unsponsored sponsorship to for what you hear rustling in the back. To Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, can I get a couple of those?
Oh, have at it, absolutely. Yeah. I told you, please take part. That's what I put in the middle.
Just want a couple.
If y'all have never had strawberry Sour Patch Kids, like all strawberries, they even shaped like strawberries. I dropped one. Trust and believe, my big ass is gonna eat it. If you never had a strawberry Sour Patch Kid, please do yourself a favor, especially if you're a smoker. And you have that you know, the munchies, but you don't want something too sweet, but you still want something.
It's gonna hit the spot.
In that solid candy realm, strawberry Sour Patches has been a huge come up, and I appreciate it so much because it's goddamn delicious. So you know, as y'all saw, it wasn't the busiest week, but there definitely were some conversation pieces worth having. But before we get into that, which has ultimately become a segment on this show, Kev Tar. I have some either ors for you.
Okay. You do that because actually I did write some down. I was thinking about it, but go ahead. Hit me with yours.
These damn Sour Patches are amazing. Anyway, I'm kind of mixing them up a little bit. Some of these are like scenarios. Some of these are like, you know, what shoes would you be in? So let me ask you. So who would you rather be? Whose life would you take over? And you can't change shit. Like literally you wake up as this person tomorrow. Who would you rather wake up as? Dr. Dre or Diddy? Reputation, money, the whole nine. Who'd you wake up as tomorrow?
Dre.
Why is that?
Because I mean, yes, they've had very similar careers. But just out of the big spectrum, if I can choose, I wouldn't want a lot of the negative talk far as artist goes, you know, that Diddy has. So I just off that alone, I think I would go Dre. I mean, both of their pockets are straight, so that's not even a factor. But I think I would go Dre. Yeah.
So I'm torn on this one.
Really?
I'm definitely torn on this one because, yes, you know, Dre doesn't really have a deep track record of fucking over his artists. However, he has a pretty shitty track record with hitting women.
Yeah, that's very true.
Diddy doesn't have a track record hitting women, but boy, a lot of his former artists don't have pleasant things to say about him.
God damn it, I think I have stuff that I already, damn it.
So damn it. I'm gonna have to go with Diddy on this one.
Really?
Only because I can kind of be granted a second chance. Now, granted, you know, that the accusations against Dre hasn't stopped anything for him. The accusations against both of them hasn't stopped anything for them.
Right.
I feel like with Diddy, like, especially when you hear about how he did Black Rob, just to really come out and find out, he didn't do Black Rob that way. He kept in contact, not like on a daily, weekly, even a yearly thing. But him and Black Rob definitely maintained some sort of contact.
Right.
He paid for the funeral, you know what I'm saying? He really, you know, and then when he was given the knowledge that Black Rob was in a tough fucking spot, you know, Diddy rally the troops. So I think I would be in a better position to correct whatever. And then Diddy just, you know, Dre has the same, I don't know how to look into it, but Diddy has so many streams of income. He is so involved in so many different things that the second he decides to give one up, the rest of them are just going to flourish even more because now that concentration is put into those things.
Right.
So I think I'd have to go with Diddy. And then just the mystique. Did I kill Big and Pac? Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like at this point, nigga, I'm a legend out here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mythical creature, right?
Exactly. Change my middle name to Love and some more shit.
All right. Actually, I think he got that like on his
actual driver's license.
Yeah.
Dog, which is weird because it's like
Why do you? I never understood. Why do you have a Florida driver's license? But
I'm pretty sure. I think that's where he lives.
Oh, I didn't know where he lived.
But it's just weird. Like imagine seeing Diddy in the DMV.
Yeah, like how does that work? Does he go?
Does he have the same weight?
Is it in the entourage? Like,
because I'd be pissed if I'm D236 and he's fucking D330 and he gets called 100 people before I do. I'm like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
I saw his ticket.
Right.
Tell his ass get in.
Give a fuck if it's Puff Daddy Diddy,
Exactly.
whatever the fuck.
He getting a driver's license. You think Diddy drive himself?
Right.
Fuck that. Hey Diddy, it's nice to meet you. I'm sitting here talking shit as if
that shit you did, back in 03, that was hot.
Nigga, you had everybody hitting the shoulders.
Right.
You were the Harlem Shake before Harlem Shake. I'm sitting there talking all kinds of shit, nigga. The second I got around Diddy when we did the Revolt Summit, I was like, hey, peace to you, brother. You know what I mean?
Bad boys for life. Yeah.
So this one's a shit situation no matter how you look at it. So it's just really a which one would you rather be known for? Again, both of them suck. But it's definitely a which one do you think your ego, your career, the whole now, which one do you think you can recover from best? Getting publicly knocked out by 6ix9ine or academics?
Why would you ask me something like that?
Because that's the whole point of the exercise, sir.
Would I rather publicly get knocked out by 6ix9ine or academics? Well, we can just put this out here. Neither one of them would even have a chance to knock me out. That's first and foremost. If we were both of us by ourselves and we in the room and they're like, y'all scrap, that wouldn't happen. That's first.
These are all just hypotheticals. That's all. The young hypos.
But I guess in a hypothetical situation, I probably would choose Ack.
You would choose Ack?
Yeah.
Why is that? I'm with you, by the way, and I have my reason behind it as well. But why is that?
Well, because I think, not that it happens often or anything like that. It's not easy, but you can hit somebody with quote unquote a lucky punch and knock them out. You know what I mean? If that was to happen, I'd rather it be, or the chances of it happening would be higher against somebody that has a little bit more weight. I'm pretty sure I'm taller than him, but has a little bit more size on him than 6ix9ine. And also he black. So I'm going to give him the edge in that. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather get knocked out by a black dude, overweight black dude, than get knocked out by skinny, scrawny, rainbow hair kid. You know, that first. So I think Ack. But I will say this. After I recover from being knocked out, boy, I'm on your ass.
And that is the entire reason why I would get knocked out by academics over 6ix9ine, because I will never be able to get to 6ix9ine again with the amount of security he has around him.
Right.
I'm never going to get that run back.
Right.
Ack, I could run into him clearly at like the fucking BET Awards or something.
Right.
And in front of
Whole Foods or something.
In front of everyone.
Right.
Whoop his ass.
Yeah.
And be able to bounce back from what happened. Like, look, I'm trying to tell you, that first one was just a fluke. Don't even worry about that.
That was just some bullshit.
You see how bad I beat this boy? He's about to retire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can at least get that run back with Ack. And like you said, he's got a little more size on him. Everybody gets a lucky punch. And I'm able to kind of just rock from there. 6ix9ine, he'll get his lucky punch, and then I'll never be able to get to him again. If I try to run up on this nigga, security gonna stop me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? If I end up winning, he's gonna get an assault charge on me. Like, nah, fuck that. It's too many different variables with that. So now I'm with you on that.
Hella variables, and
got two more for you.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to find. I don't know where mine got saved to. I had a couple, and I don't know where it got saved to. So yeah,
it says let it rock.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a bad stutter or Tourette's? And I mean a bad stutter.
Tourette's.
Really? You rather have Tourette's?
Because I think it could be funny. Now I don't know much about Tourette's. I don't know if the words that they come out with, could they come out with, could they say anything, or is it like one specific thing? You know what I mean? Like if it's just I randomly shout out "goat," that won't be funny.
Nah, it got to be Deuce.
But if
it got to be Deuce Bigelow Tourette's, because like normally with Tourette's, it's normally one cuss word.
Right.
It does vary, but nah, it's like Deuce Bigelow Tourette's. Like you throwing out cuss words, homophobic slurs. You throwing.
I think that would be hilarious. So I would choose that if I can just sit down and sit down. Fuck shit, goddamn, out of nowhere. That would be funny as hell. So, and that's just my weird sense of humor. So me personally, I think I would choose Tourette's. And then stuttering, man, like it seems like the people that I've ran across that have that going on, it seems like it's so difficult and
frustrating.
Yeah, and I mean both probably will be embarrassing, but after a while, Tourette's, I ain't gonna be embarrassed about that. But stutter is like every time I speak, it could be hard, not only for me to speak it, but for you to understand it. I would definitely choose Tourette's.
Definitely. What was I watching? I was watching something on Joe Biden. Not knowing that Joe Biden actually has a really bad speech impediment.
Really?
Comes to find out. And it was really bad when he was younger. So they had a dude on there that was that also had a speech impediment, real bad stutter. But his was more so he has a little bit more control over his. I guess because that's something that he actually, studies or whatever. And like even when he was talking, he was like, and when Joe, and like the way he would pause and everything like that. One, like I said, it seems incredibly frustrating. And two, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Cause even though people around you are going to understand, cause they, cause you're only going to associate with people that you're cool with. But especially with how I think, I would hate being the person that continues to slow the conversation down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm saying something that's funny and it's kind of like forced laughter because, the joke of it kind of went out the window.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of, you're staying still and waiting for the joke to come out. And it's almost like I have Tourette's now anyway. So people wouldn't be able to tell too much of a difference except for me just sitting around and I know where I'm just like, dick penis.
That would be fucking hilarious. Like imagine first of all, with Tourette's, is it like, this is one thing that I want to know, like, do they have to speak, like, could it just be quiet, or is it just going to happen regardless?
Just happens. Like I said, it's
if that's the case, just imagine
Tourette's.
being in a movie theater, you quiet, everybody's chilling. Shit, goddamn, out of nowhere. Like, that would be fucking hilarious.
It's a suspenseful ass movie, and it's on the quiet part, and it's just you hear the music, everything building out of nowhere. Titty sprinkles. It just changed the whole fucking. But what's so fucked up though? After 30 minutes, they realize, all right, bro, you got to stop now.
Yeah, so
I'm not trying to make y'all laugh.
And right, that's what I want to know. Like, could they? You know what I mean? Could they try to stop it or something like that? Like, I just think that it'd be fucking hilarious. Pit bulls wear Jordans out of nowhere. Like, I just think it'd be funny.
Pit bulls wear Jordans.
Just out of nowhere.
Motherfuckers like, do they? I give them to make sense. All right, final one, and I gotta admit, I stole this one. Would you rather be, and it's a one-day thing because both of them, they always say you have 24 hours or whatever. A 24-hour zombie apocalypse or the purge?
Like, and it only happens for 24 hours and then it's done?
Yeah. Which day would you rather go through?
Well, me personally, because I have been mentally prepared. I wish there was a way we could have a zombie apocalypse, but nobody got hurt, but there really was zombies. Because I don't want people like dead and lose a family member and stuff like that. But I honestly think something big needs to happen to reset this because it's a whole clusterfuck. So I'm gonna definitely rock with a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse?
It's definitely right. And then on top of that, even if we take out all that extra, zombies are not people they're dead or whatever you want to. The purge, no, you got to kill actual people, and then you don't know
who are trying to kill you,
who got issues. Maybe the guy you didn't pull up so he can get his gas on the same pump. He had to do some other shit. Maybe he's pissed off and it's a purge, and now this motherfucker done found me and is trying to kill me over some dumb shit.
Or like in the movie, you ain't get a little girl her candy bar.
Right. You know what I mean? So no, I would much rather a zombie apocalypse.
I'm gonna rock with the purge. Only because one, I'm gonna make sure I'm in no neighborhood with somebody I got beef with, and two, I don't have to murder. It's all crime. I'm just gonna loot and try to come up.
I would. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you put it that way, that really would, because I didn't even think about that. I went straight to the killing, but
I'm gonna have to loot and
crime.
stash. I can't walk around with a cart full of shit because then somebody's gonna be like, oh, I could just plug this motherfucker, take his shit. He didn't have to work for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be strategic in how I get this purge going.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna switch mine.
You gonna go with the purge?
Yeah, I think I want to go with the purge.
Good man, smart man.
Yeah, and if only 20 for like the yeah, I've been to rob something, and to my knowledge, the purge was only like a U.S. thing because it was people coming from other places to experience it. Right. So with that being said, I make sure everything is super secure with me and my family. You know what I mean? Make sure ain't nobody trying to run up in here or anything like that. But I would do it just to get the money. And then from then, like I disappeared. I'm on an island somewhere.
All right, I did my day.
Yeah, I did my day, and I'm somewhere out. To where, or a place to where I'm secluded, but I'm able to go and get essentials. You know what I mean? Get food, get whatever. If I need to see a doctor, be able to do all that. But yeah, I'm switching up. I'm definitely gonna go with the purge.
Know what's wild about the purge? What if the next day, when all crime is legal again, and you run into that neighbor that just tried to slit your throat? Like, nigga, I didn't know we had beef.
You talking about like so? Then after the purge, the day after, like, and you know,
it's
your
right back to crime
was,
being legal. Everything is quote normal.
You mean illegal? Crime being illegal.
You're right, crime being illegal. I'm sorry, but yeah, you're right back to that. Everything is normal. Then you run into your neighbor, and you know, just like as soon as the fucking sirens went off, you just heard. You look,
like he was waiting.
Exactly, like it's time, and then he tries to slit your throat. But obviously, you're not gonna open the door for one, but for two, when he finally loses his shit and kick in the door, jump through the window, and then the next day, y'all both going out to the mailbox, and he's like, "Hey, neighbor," like, what's your reaction from that?
Well, if those chain of events, like you said, were to happen, as soon as he kicked in the door, I peeled him.
Got you.
So there is no.
There's no more neighbor here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing you at the mailbox the next day. You don't have any mail to check. So
I promise.
Yeah, that would be. But if it was something to where, like that whole thing happened and neither one of us got hurt or something like that, when I see him the next day, I'm gonna just beat his ass.
All right, we're gonna fight. We can legally fight.
Yeah, because I mean, even though I wasn't out there murdering or something like that, I got my money, so I plan on leaving anyway.
Right.
So I'm gonna beat the dog crap out of you, and you'll never see me again. So that's how I would go about it.
Got my revenge.
Yeah.
Well, those are very interesting takes, sir.
Yeah, and I had mine, but I don't know.
It's all good. If you finally bring more to the next episode.
Yeah.
Y'all can also let us know how y'all feel about this impromptu section of the show.
Yeah. Just double up.
Definitely get back to us on it.
Yeah.
So as far as things that happened this week, before we get to the actions of the Joe Budden podcast, I do want to talk about some music, some hip hop shit, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
So of course we know that JCole put out the off season.
Cold world.
And not only did he put out the off season, he did something that I've been pleading for last few episodes when we talk about album releases, and he gave me partially what I was looking for. JCole pretty much had a rollout. for the off season. Yeah. We normally don't see people of J. Cole's ilk nowadays going up to the radio stations doing the freestyles like that.
Could you? Because I love that term and I know what it means and all that stuff like that. For the people that may not know, could you, in a hood way, don't have to be like accurate and political, but could you please explain what ilk means?
Status, basically.
Gotcha.
Level of fame. Sorry, I'm over here fucking up these sour patches. Level of fame, level of notoriety, status, the whole nine.
Okay.
Yeah. Went to the LA Leakers, dropped a fire fucking freestyle.
Oh yeah, he was gassing freestyle.
Of course, that followed the release of Interlude, which people were torn about. Mm-hmm. But then the album came out, 12 songs.
And I don't see why people, if you're smart or you got common sense, the song was called Interlude. What do you expect?
Right.
But carry on.
So no, that's really it. So before I get into the reactions and everything, let's actually talk about the album. How did you feel about the off season?
Well, to be honest, I'm still listening. Like I definitely listen, you know what I mean? But I'm still listening to process. I mean, since my eye, which is still not 100%, and I can drive and stuff like that, but just to be on the safe side, I haven't driven in like a month, almost a month and a half now. And that's usually where I get a lot of my listening in, especially new listens, because I mean, I can definitely do it at home, but it'd be a little bit different, which I may do like when I'm playing the game or something like that. I'll listen, but it's kind of hard to do when you're in the car because I have my children in the car, so I have to be. What's the word? I have to be
aware.
Aware is subjective. The word? I don't know, but I have to be. I have to kind of monitor what I'm listening to. You know what I mean? To be honest, shit. Conway shit. I'm a huge Griselda fan. I've heard it, love it, heard it a few times, but to really like listen, I still got to do that. But it's hard because if I got my kids in the car and you know what I mean, I don't completely not subject them to everything. Like I want them to know some shit that should be out there, but at the same time, I still got to watch it because they're young, so I still got to watch it. So as far as the album, I still am doing my listening, but what I can say from what I have heard, boy,
Cole is Cole is still that guy.
Let me tell you, that first track, I'm still on that first track.
Oh yeah,
he gassed that, and then
it was a solid opener.
To do what he did towards the end of the song, like you wouldn't expect that, especially not from Cole.
Right.
Like that shit had me like, oh, okay. He's giving you that shit. Okay.
Right. Same way, man. I have listened to the album again in 2 runs. I'm gonna give it another run. I think we're actually gonna be supposed to be talking about it on Turn On Mic Up, which is gonna be an interesting conversation because I don't think RJ fucked with it, but we'll see. I think it's great. Is it his best album? No.
What album do you think is better?
2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Really?
And then an extremely close second would be Born Center.
Well, see, it's weird because I like only album I haven't liked from Cole is For Your Eyes Only. Mm. That's the only one. I mean, it's a couple of songs on it that I like, but for the most part, I don't really rock with that album. My favorite Cole album is Born Center.
Mm. Which is understandable.
Because that's my favorite one. So when I hear people talk about Forest Hill Drive, I'm like, yeah, it was a dope album, but was it really like that?
It was for me. And I was torn for a while because Born Center was my favorite until Forest Hills came out.
And in this particular case, I don't want to put Born Center really ahead of anything because I know I'm biased. It's a favorite of mine. Because if I was to leave that bias in right now, I have Born Center. What is it? Is this the off season? The off season, and then Forest Hill Drive.
So I have it. Forest Hills, Born Center, off season, KOD.
Oh, I forgot about
Nah, to be fair,
In this particular case,
I would say KOD and off season are interchangeable. If
I got it. In this particular case, I got to take my bias out. Like, yeah, Born Sinner is my favorite, but I completely forgot about KD. I got to take it out.
Then I would get, my phone has been just talking all episode. But after that, I would have to go with Sideline Story, and then last would be For Your Eyes Only. Only because I didn't enjoy enough from For Your Eyes Only. And of course, it's a short project, so I think that's what irks me with For Your Eyes Only, is that because it's such a short project, you could like, and I feel like I can say this only because Black Thought did it twice. When you're giving us an EP, there don't need to be any skippables. You're only giving us 5 or 6 songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right about that.
There shouldn't be any skippables. And again, Black Thought did that. Black Thought has never been known as, oh, he makes solid fucking records, because your mindset is always the roots. You know what I'm saying? So of course, you can get something off the roots, but nah, man, I need this. I need my EP to be just amazing from start to finish.
It got to be pristine. Like.
Exactly. And For Your Eyes only had too many skippables on it for me. It had some great records on it, but too many skippables.
I understand that. So, yeah.
But I would say this album was very close to Friday Night Lights.
Really?
This album was very mixtape Cole worthy, I would say.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Like I said earlier, like taking out my bias, I have to, because I forgot about KOD, and that's a top album, very top. So taking out the bias, I'm not ranking them, best or anything like that. But my top 3 would have to be KOD, Forest Hills Drive, and this new project. Now, as far as who's better than who, I'm not there yet, but those would have to be my top 3.
Got you.
Those would have to be, because
respectfully,
Cole did something with this most recent album. Like, for the people saying that he's boring, yeah, you may or may not have an argument with that, but this particular album kind of did away with that shit.
Yeah,
like
he if there's anything I could be upset with when it comes down to this album, and it's not really a reason to be upset, because I thought he utilized all of it perfectly, is the fact that this album was more so curbing to those people that say JCole is boring, giving them more of the music that they're familiar with, more of the music that they normally tolerate. As we've talked about before, Cole is one of those artists, or really a lot of these artists, who kind of go off of the same kind of style, the same kind of delivery, same kind of cadence, the whole nine. There are certain ones who have the respect that step up their bar game when they get on. And I thought 21 Savage and Lil Baby just went beyond what I felt like their realm would be. You know what I'm saying? To be as a feature on this album. I thought easily some of the best verses that we've gotten from those two.
Really?
Yeah, in their feature game. But I've always said that.
Right.
I guarantee you, if Young Thug was on the album, the nigga probably would have had a stupid fucking verse.
Thug does a good job on his features to where he coming with it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm not a huge Thug fan, barely listen to him if it's not a feature, if we're being honest, but he does his thing on the features.
That's the only time I listen to him is when he's featuring on somebody I fuck with.
Exactly.
Because when that happens, then it's like, ooh, Thug's gonna give us something nice. Thug's gonna give us something to really rock with. And like I said, that's how I felt about Lil Baby and 21 Savage. 21 Savage, of course, rapped like 21 Savage, but at least I felt like he was giving me something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lil Baby, like we talked about it before, he either raps his ass off or he sticks with what's popular right now.
Right.
But when Lil Baby want to rap, Lil Baby fucking rap.
He can actually do it. Yeah.
And I appreciated Lil Baby's feature on it, and just, it was a solid fucking album. It was a solid fucking album.
Yeah.
And because Friday Night Lights is my favorite Cole mixtape, I have a greater appreciation for this album, because I'm like, this is so reminiscent of the tape that ultimately made me a Cole fan. Friday Night Lights had me go back to listen to the Come Up and the Warm Up. You know what I'm saying? And then just following his career from there. So having a project that goes back to that, I was more than taken care of when it comes down to this album. But yeah, hopefully we do get a conversation in on Turn Michael about it.
And then also for me, next show I can definitely jump in a little bit more because I've been listened a lot more to really give out my opinion. But as of right now, that album is nice.
It's moving.
Like
it's
it might
moving.
be, obviously it's just premature and we can still got a long way to go, but this definitely should be in at least the top 5 album of the year conversations.
Now, what also happened on the same day that Off Season dropped is something, is a rant I like to call fickle fan base. Because on the same day, Nicki, she did what Drake did, what Wiz did. Mm-hmm. She re-released her mixtape, Beam Me Up Scotty, as an album. And I think she added four records to it.
Yeah.
Now, I thought it was genius because, as I've spoken on this show before, I'm a fan of mixtape Nicki. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily care for industry Nicki. And Beam Me Up Scotty is one of those albums. It was one of those, I guess now albums. Beam Me Up Scotty is one of those albums.
One of those industry type albums or mixtape?
So it's a mixtape, but she just re-released it as an album. So I'm assuming she got clearance. Because you know what's interesting is that there was a lot of social media conversation talking about they wish Nicki would have just cleared. What's the name of the? She Got It Dunk. They wish Nicki would have just cleared She Got It Dunk with Soulja Boy through his publishing, whoever is taking care of She Got It Dunk. So that way she could have put out Itty Bitty Piggy as an actual record. So
but
she clearly
also saying too that particular song, that Itty Bitty Piggy song, Soulja Boy produced that song.
Yeah. So, but did he own it? You think he owned it?
I don't know. I just so happened to see that he produced it. I was like, oh, so he is doing stuff that we may not know about. I thought he was still riding the high from the Crank That.
Oh no, he got number one. Well, he had a number one record just recently, but of course, we can discuss that in a little bit actually, okay. Because number one records and plaques nowadays, I'm not understanding it fully.
Right.
But I guess she got the clearance for the record to release it as an actual album, which is dope. Mm-hmm. Interesting day to drop it, but whatever. So my issue became, there's a lot of people who've been calling themselves Nicki Minaj fans who legit thought that Beam Me Up Scotty was a new album. I was like, yo, this is easily close to a decade old.
Yeah. If not
a decade. Yeah.
It might be.
Man, when was Beam Me Up? Was that 2010? So actually, I think it is a decade.
About to do Googles on the fucking air.
Google's on the air. We need like a drop when Google on the air happens.
Yeah. And this is actually me doing the Googling this time.
That's right. We switching it up here. It's a whole new noise. Just trying to find out when the hell this damn project dropped.
Yeah, I want to see when the original project dropped, because if it dropped in 2009.
Yeah, so over 10 years old, 12 years old.
Yeah, because 10 years made 2019. Yeah, it's about 12 years old.
12-year-old mixtape. Yeah. Is this new? You're not a Nicki fan. I treat them the same way I treat the Beyonce fans that don't know more Destiny's Child than what the singles were.
Yeah,
fickle fan bases, goddammit.
That's definitely fickle. And it was probably a lot of the people that once other female rappers came onto the scene, they were all
just super. They not Nicki. They want to be Nicki.
Yeah.
You don't even know what the fuck the project that got her signed by Young Money.
Exactly. So yeah, like fickle.
Super fickle.
Fickle.
Fickle barbs.
That's good. That's really good.
At this point, they're not even barbs. They're the ones that you get.
Fickle barbs.
It's the one you get at the 99-cent store. Where it's not like Barbie, it's like Charisse or some shit. You know what I mean? That's the barbs that you are. Kind of getting circling back to a conversation that was slightly introduced, and then we can get to the Joe Budden podcast. So I was I forgot which fucking artist it was. I want to say it was NBA Youngboy. Mm-hmm. It's possibly not, but I want to say it was NBA Youngboy. I guess he just got a couple of plaques for some of his records. Mm. And like I just mentioned, Soulja Boy.
To date, I've never heard that guy's rap, but carry on.
in the same situation, Soulja Boy had a #1 record with the She Make It Clap with the new record or whatever. And again,
that's a new track. I've never heard it. Is that new?
I'm gonna tell you why you've never heard it.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I never want to come across as a hater. Congrats to both of them. Get your stats. You know what I'm saying? However you get it. I just don't understand because Soulja Boy got the #1 spot because the She Make It Clap thing was a challenge on TikTok. So I'm like, so are y'all counting that? Because y'all not playing it on the radio.
Right.
But then
I've
also
never heard it on the radio.
But it also goes back to when Soulja Boy's plaque for Crank That Soulja Boy came off of ringtone buys. So it's like it's a plaque, it's a stat with an asterisk on it.
So are they counting it like, is it a streaming thing? You know what I mean? Like, is that where they're saying that this, he got the plaque for like streaming, like this song was broke a streaming record or whatever?
So I think
I'm trying to figure out if that is the case, maybe it went on TikTok, you know what I mean? People was fucking with it on TikTok, but that caused the people to actually go listen to the record. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I wonder if it either caused people to go listen to the record or them adding the record to the actual challenge gave them a stream. Because the same thing happened with the Bust It challenge. The chick that and forgive me for not knowing her name because no one knew her name before the challenge, but the chick that made the Bust It record, no one knew who she was until the Bust It challenge happened, and then she had a #1 record, and then and I actually just had this conversation with somebody else, the Silhouette challenge. First of all, that beat slap.
Yeah,
that beat go. I was like, that shit nasty as fuck. So I did like you just got done saying. I just didn't want to go listen to the record. The record's terrible. The lyrics are horrible. The record is trash. I'm like, oh, that's why they stopped so early in the song during the Silhouette challenge. However, they had a charting single because of it. And now with NBA YoungBoy, with him getting these plaques, I'm like, he's getting hella plaques off of streaming.
Yeah.
And we know that they count it differently. So I'm just like,
or it may be something because, I don't know how much of a song or anything that you have to listen to for it to be counted as a stream. Maybe it was something like, maybe like you seen something on TikTok and you went to go listen to it. I don't know. Again, I don't know how much a person has to listen to for it to be counted. But let's say if it was 30 seconds, if you seen it, went to go listen to it for 30 seconds, and then inside that 30 seconds, you realize, no, this shit is garbage. But they counted that as an actual stream. Like, I don't know if they're doing that, you know what I mean?
No clue.
Because if so, maybe that would be the reason why people are getting plaques off streaming.
It could be. It really, really could be. I don't know. It's confusing though, man, because
that's the era we in now.
Like we're celebrating certain plaques. It's like, yeah, that's great. That's super great. But with streaming being easier than selling physicals, to me at least, why is it that it takes less streams to get a plaque than it did to get, than it did in physicals? Because with physicals, you don't get a plaque until you hit 1 million.
Yeah.
I want to say with streams, it's like 500,000 is a platinum plaque now.
Really?
250 is gold. 200, I think, even.
Wow.
So it's just weird. I'm like, but you can go stream this whenever the fuck you want. So if you can't even get 1 million streams out the gate, 1 million streams that are free every time you go back to it, and you're just paying $7-10 a month, you would think it would abide by the same rules.
You would think so. Man, all this shit is just so weird.
Yeah.
Like, not only is it weird because we don't know the information, but it got to be even weird for the artists because somewhere, I mean, they don't even know all the information, but somewhere in there, artists are getting fucked.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be this hard to figure out how much stuff is or who's paid what and how things are supposed to be broken down in that industry. For an industry that's been around like forever, you know what I mean? No, it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, we're in an era where you can get, what would you say, 250 and have a plaque? You know what I mean? Like,
we can't even say we're in the era. That's just what it is right now. Because there's no backtrack. We're never going back to physicals.
Oh, no.
We're not too far off. Shit, nigga, they make cars now that don't have CD players in them.
Yeah.
So we are gradually getting rid of that medium.
Yeah, it'd be straight Bluetooth or, I guess for some people, aux cord. Yeah.
So it's getting to play. And because I remember, it's funny because I was really just having this conversation. And they were saying, like, I don't think we'll ever be to a place where they just stop making CD players for all cars. I'm like, when last time we seen a car with a tape player? I'm like, they eventually completely remove that medium.
You
know what I'm saying? You can't even go buy. First of all, when you even go to buy a entertainment system, a sound system in general, they don't have tape players on them now. No. So trust me, we are not too far off from CDs being just completely obsolete.
Oh yeah, I think they will. I think the only reason they're hanging on like they are because you do have some people that be like, nah, this is real music. Like having that physical copy of whatever. They're like, no, this is legit. This is
absolutely. Oh yeah, I think those mom and pop stores they'll exist the same way the old school video game stores still exist. There's still people who like, nah, I enjoy playing my cartridges. I get it. Have at it. So I don't think they'll ever go away. The only medium that I still see sell today in the physical aspect that I don't think will ever go away is vinyl.
Yeah, I don't see vinyl.
There's a classic aspect about vinyl that people are still cool with buying that is going to disappear when it comes to CDs. The same way it did with cassette tapes.
Wait, so you think vinyl is eventually going to be just gone?
No, I don't think vinyl will ever be gone. I think vinyl would be, I think they'll still be producing vinyl after CDs go away.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you got DJs and different stuff, and
even then, though, a lot of DJs don't even mix with vinyl anymore.
That's true. That I did notice that's true, and I was always wondering, like, how? If you don't have that, how? But I'm not a DJ, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, you're. I mean, you could be onto something, but I don't think. I think vinyls will definitely be here to stay. But I think at some point something has to happen, far as how you get them, because you got people not trying to lug around carts of vinyls.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
I've noticed vinyls have become more of a collector's edition type deal. Like when people say, "Oh, I got," like literally the conversation.
Hell, do they even make things to play vinyls on anymore?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a record player at Best Buy the other day that had Bluetooth on it. So if you don't want to play your vinyl, you could play some shit off your phone.
Really?
No, bro, I'm telling you, they are coming out with new shit for vinyls. They are coming out.
So where do you see it going with vinyls in particular?
I think it's just going to maintain where it's at, which is being like a collector piece. Because I've seen people celebrate. Just as far as most recent, I've seen people celebrate Damn being on vinyl. I think Damn came out on vinyl like a year after.
Was on vinyl. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people go buy it just for I'm assuming just for the look or something.
Yeah.
But there's still an appreciation for vinyls because it has a lot of, nostalgia to it, I guess you could say. And in a lot of ways, you'll get that from a vinyl over, a CD. Like the next closest thing you'll get from a nostalgia type feel would be a cassette tape.
Right.
Unless, of course, you came up in the CD era. But with vinyls and CDs, with vinyls, you have to try to scratch them joints. CDs, after a certain amount of plays, you go get your favorite song, you gonna get that hing, 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 hing.
Hell, one time I had my CD was skipping and had scratches on it, and I had just bought it the day before. I'm like, yo, I bought it, I played it, it hasn't been anywhere but this tape, the player. How the fuck does it have a scratch?
In the more preloaded scratches.
That doesn't even how is this even possible? And one thing I always sucked about, I guess you can kind of understand it, why they didn't do it. But once a CD got scratched, there was no returning it. There was no
trades, anything.
You know what I mean? Now, as things got later with CDs, far as burning and stuff, I can understand why. But yeah, you would think after a certain point, if you 20 days. If you got scratches within 20 days, then you can bring it back for an exchange. You know what I mean? That would make sense. But there was never nothing like that at all.
You know what used to irk me about scratch CDs and burning? Is that if the CD is scratched, it uploads with that same fucking skip.
Yes. And you would think that, yes, it's a physical copy, but the shit is digital.
Exactly.
You would think, you know what I mean?
Getting the memory.
Exactly. Like if I break this CD right now, the song still exists.
You just got to read it, goddamn.
Or on another CD, it still exists. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. I hated that.
That used to
and there
hurt
was times I would do that too. Like, okay, if I can just upload this, and I know it got scratches, but if I can just upload this, I can listen through here. I don't have to deal with the scratches. Wrong.
I can give you the exact CD I discovered that with. Exhibit's Restless. Me and Jay.
It's funny you say. I was thinking about Exhibit earlier today.
Me and Jay played that album, no pun intended, front to back. You know what I'm saying? And for those who may not understand why there's a pun there, Exhibit has a record on there called Front to Back.
That goes
solid fucking record called Front to Back. Go listen to Exhibit's Restless. He's very underrated. Definitely in the top 5 underrated rappers out there, and I'll put that out there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we played that CD front to back, and that motherfucker was skipping like a sumbitch. So I'm like, you know what? Boom. How about this? We got a CD burner. Let's just upload it and then just burn it to a new CD, and we can rock with it again. Nope. Every skip that would happen when we play that shit on the CD player in the car happened on the uploaded shit, and I was like, that's just unfair. I'm curious to see how the numbers look. It's something I'm gonna have to do more research on. I may not ever have a full understanding of it, but I do need to at least see. Finally, just wanted to get your ideas and your thoughts about this whole Joe Budden podcast kerfuffle. So as everyone should know by now, Maul and Rory are no longer on the Joe Budden podcast over percentage dispute, hidden money, whatever the case may be. Joe is saying that it's because they ultimately were trying to kind of like snuff him out, not necessarily snuff him out the deal, but I don't know. How would you explain Joe's side?
I don't know, because I mean, granted, I don't know the full gist of their issue. I don't think nobody really does besides them. But honestly, even on Joe's side, at least from my side, I don't see him being right with this on any level. So I don't really know how to explain. I guess the most thing, I guess, for everybody to see is a percentage dispute or something like that. And coming from Joe's side, like, nah, I don't see him being right at this at all.
Same thing. I didn't listen to the entire Joe Budden explanation. I didn't
listen to any of it.
I watched Rory and Maul's.
I was gonna ask you too. I seen maybe it's something else. And by all means, I have the $2. That's not a problem. But I was like, you niggas really gonna charge niggas to hear what happened?
Oh no, it's on YouTube.
Okay, then I'll watch when I get home. I was waiting for it to hit YouTube. I'll watch when I get to home.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. But yeah, I watched it, and from what it's coming across,
how long was it?
It's literally an hour. I think it's like an hour and 3 minutes, maybe. It's like the average length of the Noize. But yeah, man, I watched it. It seemed like there was a lot of money tension that was going on, and money tension on Joe's part. That he may have been doing a lot of, sneaky investing and sneaking, sneaky signatures or whatever. Rory mentioned that there at one point, he wasn't necessarily setting up a title deal. He just had a conversation with Elliot, and then he brought that conversation to Joe, and Joe snapped on him. And then not too long after,
Rory had a conversation with Elliot?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he brought that same conversation to Joe, and Joe snapped. And like a couple weeks later, Joe brought it up as if
it was his idea.
Exactly. After he had a conversation with Elliot. I saw one of Joe's responses saying that title was only offering like $40,000 a month, which to us, we'll take it. But, at the heights of where they were, I can understand why he would turn it down. But I guess ultimately, in a lot of ways, putting all stories together, if there was any kind of money conversation being had, it had to happen with Joe and whoever the other person was. One thing I found out from Rory and Maul's podcast was the whole Friends of Cash App thing was exclusively a Joe Budden thing. It was a Joe Budden network thing that was only supposed to be on Pull Up, but then he started putting it on the podcast. So he was trying to, Rory and Maul was trying to figure out, like, so do we get a cut from that? And he said anytime they would bring up money, it would always end up being some kind of an argument.
Yeah, and
Man, I don't see how Joe Budden's podcast bounces back from this, or even the network, to be all the way honest with you.
I thought about that too. I was like, how does a network maneuver with your flagship podcast? Like, there's a rift there. How do you maneuver?
Like, I saw Rory and Maul, they both talked to Royce, and Royce was like, was really putting them up on game. Apparently there's an unreleased episode of Pull Up where Joe talks to Crooked Eye. And Joe talks about how he don't follow the guidelines of a contract, and there's like, we're starting to see that shit now. Man, it's all money related. This is going to always be money related that tears down, certain infrastructures like that. But at this point, I can see if they decide to keep going forward in that kind of, in that area, I could see whatever the fuck Rory and Maul put together being bigger than the Joe Budden podcast.
At this point, yes. So here's my thoughts about everything. Number one, I've probably, when people really wasn't, I've been a Joe Budden fan musically.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, since his first album. Like, granted, his first album was not a classic or a banger, but he did have some tracks on there that I really fucked with. So flash forward to, I'll give you the complete rundown. So Joe's doing this music thing, and when Rage in the Machine came out,
Great fucking album.
Right. It just came out. Nobody knew that was the last album. You know what I mean? He didn't say anything like that until later on. He was like, yeah, I'm retired. But, excuse me, when you hear rappers say they're retired, you don't really pay no attention to it. You know what I mean? And the way he was saying it was like, not necessarily in a joking term, but it was lackluster. So you really didn't believe it. You know what I mean? But he was retired. As a fan of the music, I took that first shot like, damn, my nigga, like, you retired and you just really said, fuck this fan base that you had of fans and retired. And maybe you said you wasn't getting paid enough musically. Okay, that's fine. But you have people that's been dedicated to you for a little over a decade, and you really just said, fuck them. If I'm being completely honest, I think in an episode of the podcast, he literally said, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's foul. But I got on board with the podcast thing and this media thing. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff with Joe that he says, you're like, nigga, that's completely wrong. But some of the stuff I can understand the thought process and the thinking, and may even agree to a certain extent. So when we get to the podcast, number one, I don't know if you heard their, obviously not this most recent one, but the one before that was a full podcast of those three. If you're listening to that podcast, you can listen and hear that, yeah, they're talking and it's, it seems like it's cool, but you can hear its tension still in that podcast.
Maul even touches on that. He said this is probably my last time doing it, because he's like, I can't fake this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like you can really hear it was tension there. And the stuff that was saying during that time, during that episode, like, Joe, you already looked at funny. You know what I mean? You already looked in funny. And Joe, I mean, he kind of touches on it. I don't think people really pay attention, but he contradicts himself a lot.
Often.
You know what I mean? And the way he contradicts himself is if it's only beneficial to him. His whole, I don't want to say his whole thing, but this whole podcast thing, even talk, I'm for the artist. I'm on the side of the creator, so on and so forth. But when, I don't want to say it was flipped, but when you had people that was like, they're on the creator side and you were the business side, you contradicted yourself on it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, when he became the machine, he became the machine.
Exactly. So when we get to this situation, again, I don't think nobody knows the whole thing, but yes, there will be an issue if every time I say, let me look at something that has to do with money or whatever the case is, you wig out. There's, you know what I mean? You don't want nobody to see it. I'm looking at you kind of funny with that. And then with this whole thing, like, he came out, tweeted, did his own little petty shit, whatever he thought he was doing. Maul and Rory just didn't say nothing. And then after they do this particular like response, you come out and say, yeah, listening back, I was wrong. You basically backtracked everything that you said.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you're listening to Joe, you can really hear and see how he does that consistently.
Right.
He'll backtrack. He'll shit on a person, and then meet him. Oh, that person is so nice. He's so cool, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Why? And me, I'm like, why shit on them in the first place if you never knew them?
Right.
You know what I mean? Different. If you had conversations with somebody and you're like, nah, he ain't right. He ain't, you know what I mean? Okay, fine. But you never did that. When they first got back, like their last full episode, Maul said that he felt there shouldn't have been a rush to replace and so on and so forth. I get that to a certain extent. I understand that you're a network. You still have a business to run. I get that. But at the same time, I get where Maul's coming from, because it's like, my nigga, you didn't even try to resolve whatever issues you had with your mans. You just automatically started doing some other shit.
And according to the response, apparently the two niggas that Joe got on there now, Joe got a problem with.
Really? Well, I know they started doing Patreon. I don't know, but I felt Maul a little bit in that, like, nigga, you didn't even, it'd be different if you try to resolve some shit and it wasn't resolving, and you was like, well, the business got to keep going. I understand that, but you didn't. And it wouldn't have been, since these are supposed to be your guys, it wouldn't have been nothing to take a couple weeks off to figure out what's going on. Why? Because you guys have done that for no reason. Oh, we need a break, so won't be an episode this week. You know what I mean? You'll get one next Saturday or something like that. You've done that before. So for something serious, you're not doing that. I'm kind of looking at you a little bit funny.
Yeah, Maul addressed it. What the fuck am I talking about? Maul addressed that on that separate podcast. He even said, he was like, Joe brought him in to prove a point to us that
you're replaceable.
We could do this show with anybody.
Right. And I thought it was fucked up how he did them, especially Rory. You know what I mean? I thought it was fucked up because I was listening to the podcast when Maul started coming consistently. Rory has always been there. Always. So, and he was that voice for somebody. I mean, granted, I think he's maybe a year, maybe two younger than me. He was still a voice for somebody more so in our generation, because Joe's older than us. Joe would be like our big brothers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was cool to have that. I thought how he did Rory was foul. And honestly, I mean, this is just my opinion. I honestly think he dealt with Rory the way he dealt with Rory because Rory was white. You know what I mean? In my head, I'm like, he probably sitting there thinking back, this white boy want to come and ask me about this and that. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then for you to do that, like on the show like that, that was very tasteless.
Yeah. In that deleted clip where he says, that they had an agreement. If they bring something in, then they eat good. If Joe brings something in, then Joe eat good. Y'all ain't never brought anything. And just to hear on the response, like, nigga, we tried to bring you shit.
Right.
Maul said out the gate, he was like, look, I was cool with whatever going on. He was like, but don't fuck me over, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So Maul was like, yeah, I didn't, you know, I was there, like I was Joe's nigga. But, you know, on the business side, I was like, I'm good with whatever we make. He said, because I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I enjoy having conversations with my friends. I enjoy having conversations with people. Now, in a lot of ways, I don't believe everyone that says that when they say I'm not doing this for the money. Right. But also at the same time, when he can openly admit, no, I didn't bring shit. I was good with the money I was getting, the whole nine. He was like, but when you're actively fucking me out of money, right, then I have a problem. Yeah, then there's a problem. And I think a lot of posts, like when everything went down, I seen a lot of posts was, oh, Rory and Maul, they took the friendship and didn't realize the business aspect. There's just a whole bunch of convoluted stuff in there. And my thoughts on that is, if we boys, you know what I mean? Regardless, if we're boys and we've been through boy shit, there shouldn't even be a type of situation like this. Right. You know what I mean? Joe has said on a podcast actually recently how when it's their friends and they got something going on, no, we don't need to sign no papers or get no lawyers involved because you my man, I'm going to stick to my word, so on and so forth. So for this to be going down,
I'm like, and then I did see one thing. I don't know how true it is. I did see one thing where Joe possibly admitted that there was a discrepancy money wise for about $400K, but it was already getting sorted out behind scenes. So my nigga, really?
Which was brought to the attention through, I want to say it was Rory's legal team. And that's what Joe was snapping in that clip where he says you bring around a lawyer that ain't been around in 6 years. Where he come from?
Doesn't matter?
Right, I said it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got caught fucking us out of $400K.
And that's what it sounds like. He got caught fucking them, and he's trying to spin it however he spin it. And
right,
that
makes him like they were the ones that were being
right. And that's where a lot of my issues is. Don't get me wrong. You shouldn't fuck nobody at all. But if you're doing the thing with some people that you really don't know like that, or you really ain't, you know what I mean? Y'all really ain't fly like that, and you fuck them. Yeah, you shouldn't fuck them. But I can understand that a little bit more than you fucking some people that's been your boys before all of this.
When you were at your worst, when you were down
bad. When you was down bad money wise, when you was going through addiction and struggling with that, like we've been there. You know what I mean? We've been there when you proposed and you was embarrassed. We've been there through that. We've been there through the stuff with sin. We've been through that. So for you to turn around and fuck us and then try to make us seem like we're crazy.
Right. We're greedy and ungrateful.
I have an issue with that. You saying that they were overpaid and so on and so forth. Number one, what's overpaid in this podcast game? That's number one. Number two, you paid them and agreed to it.
Now, with that, so here's the thing with that. With that one, I'm 50-50, but at the same time, I'm still more so on the side of Rory and Mal. Because they even admitted, from what Spotify felt Rory and Mal should get, Joe was paying them more.
Okay.
So they were, what they were contractually supposed to get, Joe was paying them more. And they admit to that fully. Their issue was Joe would bring in other sources of income. Like even when they went to Patreon, Rory said, I didn't know that we had a Patreon deal. He said, I thought we were just going to Patreon.
Doing it, right.
I didn't know we had a Patreon deal until Joe brought it up on the show. He said, you saw my face, like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm like, with shit like that, I'm like, wait, so our podcast has a deal with Patreon. So we're not just selling Patreon. Patreon, the platform is paying us.
Yeah, that's something that should be like discussed and addressed. Like
Absolutely.
any type of deals,
and contractually
like
obligated.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Any type of deals like that should be discussed and addressed. You know what I mean? And I honestly feel like if it's, don't get me wrong, they say, you know, don't go into business with your friends and so on and so forth. I think that goes for some people because some people know how to fucking keep ahead about some shit when money's coming in. I just feel like with this particular situation, Joe should have been a lot better because they were your friends before all this. I was listening to the show when you was like, yeah, we was just doing this because it was fun, and then it exploded. I was listening, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think this is somebody who loves Joe Budden musically. Actually, a person that may or may not be listening to this, when they hear my stance on Joe, they'll be like, oh, really? But I just think he was wrong in every aspect of this. You was wrong not only for the shit that you was doing, but you was wrong for really talking about these men like they was dogs, like you didn't even know them. You know what I mean? That's kind of fucked up. I understand friends are going to go through shit. I do. Actually, if I'm being completely honest and completely transparent, my best friend was going through some shit back in August, and I just heard from dude earlier the first week of May. You know what I mean? So for that time, that shit was really fucking with me because couldn't find dude, couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? So I feel like if this is your friends, you know what I mean, your mans, you should be better at handling stuff like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I really thought Joe was wrong completely on this. And how I look at it's like, I put some fault on Rory and Mal too, because it's like, y'all have seen Joe fuck us some shit every time he gets into some shit. You know what I mean? Slaughterhouse, that happened or ended because of Joe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Joe wasn't doing shit right. So that's where that ended. The Spotify deal, yeah, I don't know the what was going on with that deal. I don't know what Spotify was doing on the back end, but what I do know is Spotify not hurting.
At all.
You know what I mean? It really
There's a lot of
seemed,
motherfuckers that didn't even know Joe Budden podcast wasn't on Spotify no more.
exactly. It's Joe has done a lot of things or gotten a lot of deals where shit seemed genius when it's first happening, and then you give it a little bit and it's in the dumps.
But you know what though? Even when it comes down, so first of all, when it comes down to Joe, as I just got done mentioning, he had all these issues with the machine and how the machine is ran and how certain things are divvied out. And then once he became the machine, he acted as the machine acts. You know, once he became the business, it was that. And also to your point, he started making a lot of different business moves. Once real money started coming in,
Secret business moves at that too.
Exactly, absolutely. Once real money started coming in, it went from I'll name this podcast later to the Joe Budden podcast. So it's like
I thought I'll name this podcast later was a dope ass time.
I thought it was dope. I thought it was solid. You know, but to see that, you know, now this money's coming in and all this notoriety is being built from it, and all of a sudden, let's make sure they know whose podcast this is. And you know, with me, this will always be my frame of reference. Joe Budden dropped easily one of the greatest diss records in a battle that only he was in. You know what I'm saying? That lets you know where that man's mind is at. Right. He's a genius, but he's fucking something's not right
he's
up
a
there.
Stupid genius.
He's a stupid genius. He's a fucking brilliant. He's a brilliant idiot. But
and they are laughing at.
Oh yeah,
they're laughing. But
I really look forward to the next episode of Brilliant Idiot just for that. But yeah, like. That's, you know, we already knew that Joe was unstable. You can't be unstable and be a figurehead. You know, because then a lot of decisions you're going to make, you only make decisions about shit that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
So if you think you are the end all be all, I'm going to get paid like I'm the end all be all. Yeah. It's all three of us who are on this show every week. Oh, but this is the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think if people notice, right when they weren't on the show, you know, for that month or whatever the case was, and it came out that they weren't on. Because the first time, like that first week, we thought they just weren't on it for, you know, for whatever reason, until he came out and said, no, they're not on the show. I noticed that, like, when you go to whatever you go to listen to it, if you look at the picture, at first, it was all of them. And then it zoomed in to where it was just him. So I'm like, that's some ego shit. Even if y'all do patch everything up and everything's cool, like, that's some ego shit.
Where I'm on, it's not just you on the show.
Yeah, like that's some ego shit. It shouldn't even been, first of all, it shouldn't have been changed for I'll name this podcast later. Second of all, it definitely shouldn't have been changed to the Joe Budden podcast.
Right, because then you're kind of putting out that message that if Rory and Maul weren't here, the show will still be the same.
And to be completely honest, I stopped listening to that particular podcast with the other two. I think I gave them like 2 episodes.
I gave them half of one.
But honestly, I don't, because the chemistry wasn't there outside of the shit that they were talking about. I'm like, nah, nigga, I ain't with you on that shit.
Yeah, exactly. This is really how I looked at it.
Yeah, so for you to kind of change it the way you did, that was some pure ego shit. And to me, I look at it as, oh, that's based off emotion.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I think Joe makes a lot of moves based off emotion, and it fucks him up in the long run, because I really don't see how do you I'm not even talking about podcasting. How do you repair this situation as friends?
I was gonna say, it's another podcast that they have on there. It's all women.
One of them, I never listened. I have not listened to any other podcasts outside of on that network. But I think I know what you're talking about. Was it the first women one that they came up with?
I think so. That's the See What Happened was. See What?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Okay, so that one.
Yeah.
One of the hosts just left that one because Joe was making advances to, you know what I'm saying, to her on one of the episodes. And she says, you go back and look at the episode, it's a part where Joe makes a statement and then it cuts mid-statement as if something was cut out of his statement. The only thing you see is us sitting there normally to me being shocked. You know what I'm saying? And then out of nowhere,
even to touch on that too, and also touch on my point, everything he touches fucked up. Remember, he had that, what was it? The culture, State of the Culture. Scotty Beam left that show because of Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So carry on.
But that's actually to my point. Joe's ego is going to be the reason for Joe's failure, because on one side, you clearly don't.
Shit. I was looking for the name of that actual show, and the first name popped up. This was May 17th. A Joe Budden podcast, a network contributor accuses the former rapper of sexual harassment. So,
Yep, her.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, so you got Joe's greed, you have his ego, and
Olivia Dope. But
yep, DJ Olivia Dope, exactly. Thank you for clarifying that. Not only that, it also shows that Joe cannot play well with others. Because the only reason Everyday Struggle would have gone completely off the rails if Complex didn't find a way to bounce back. But Everyday Struggle was a show that Joe couldn't play well with the young crowd.
Yep. And he took shots at them on the podcast too, Ak and Nadeska, because they addressed it on their next show.
Yep, I remember.
I think Ak and Joe probably are cool, whatever the case is, but Nadeska really don't fuck with him.
Yeah, that's not fuck with him at all. But yeah, you know, he had a problem with them. I had a problem with Rory and Mal, had the situation with Olivia Dope, and then of course Scotty Beam. So not only can you not play ball when it comes to business, you're one person needing other people, but you still want to operate as one person.
You need other people, but you try to flip it and make it seem like you don't need nobody.
Exactly, like it's just you.
Right.
So that's just, man, it's a terrible, you know what I'm saying, fall, because them niggas really were next up. Them niggas were next.
They were booming.
Up,
do you think, out of this whole situation, do you think Joe may have done anything right, or where you could see yourself on the side of him in any of this? Even if it's like whatever point, no? I
would say Joe did good business securing everything he secured, but he did bad business because he only looked out for Joe.
That is very true.
Because, you know, getting a deal with Spotify, getting a deal with Patreon, and they said it on the Rory and Mal podcast. I don't know what the fuck they're calling their podcast, but on the Rory and Mal response, we'll call it. They said, no, the Patreon check was beautiful, but yeah, if y'all thought we were getting paid pennies, you should check on the crew. So Rory even said, take my first month's check, give it to the crew. And he said Joe hit him up, snapping like, nigga, you're unappreciative, you're all these different things, snapping on Rory about this shit.
Because you wanted to give.
Because that was going to make Joe look bad.
Because he wasn't.
Because he wasn't giving, exactly, because he wasn't giving them that money. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as the deals he brought in, he did that right. How everything was disseminated after that, it was just bullshit. Because that don't make no fucking sense. Because you know it's not just you. So, you know, and not only that, when you're giving them numbers, you're not giving them a printout from the page. Because it's just like when, you know what I'm saying, when I talked to y'all about it, I was like, listen, I can print this directly from the site and everyone can see their numbers. He would give them spreadsheets.
Some shit that maybe he or his mans or whatever could have created.
That anybody could have typed up on Excel. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So now you gotta look, and that's word is bond.
Yeah,
like, nah,
it don't work that way.
I bring up us because I remember when you and I was having a conversation about viewership, and I was like, I could drop off and put everything together, or I'm just gonna log on to our host site and I'm gonna turn the screen and show you. And you was like, oh shit, we doing that? I was like, exactly.
That's one thing. Like when this all went down with Budden podcast, that's one thing I thought. Said when me and Los, like, if I ask him about something, he don't just tell me whatever. Like, he'll show me so I can actually see.
I do it so much he starts to tell me not to do it. But no, I believe you. That's what it is. What it is. Like, nah, look at it. But exactly that. Now imagine if I was just showing up to you with a fucking scratch piece of paper.
Right. Like, nah, this is what it is. Nigga, what?
You didn't even write an amount down. You just said numbers in a dollar sign next
right.
to it.
Like, come on. In my opinion, don't get me wrong, I understand, you know, where they were with the level of success they reached. It's a business. I do completely get that. But if you're in business with your friends, at some point you got to realize, is this business more important, more lucrative than this bond that I created? You know what I mean? That's going to still be when this money is gone. If they was to stop podcasting today and it no longer existed, y'all are still going to be my friends.
Good, yep.
You know what I mean? You have to figure out which one is more important to you. And I honestly feel like in this particular case, that business was way more important to Joe than
And in a lot of ways, that lack of loyalty could have fucked up his brand in general. Because now people are forced to choose a side.
Yeah.
Now people are forced to choose a side. And if they choose against you, which you have a lot of shit against you, because there are more people who can speak ill of Joe Budden working with him than there are that can speak positive.
Exactly.
Whether it's Def Jam, Nadeska, Scotty Beam, Rory Maul, you know what I'm saying? Academics, like.
One of the things, the little clip I seen, because it was on Instagram, as far as the Rory and Maul like response, Maul was like, when they did, is it called the Ballroom Theater? Is that what it's called?
Think so.
I don't know. They did one of the live shows, and it was like the line was crazy. And he said Joe came in the what do you call them? The dressing room, the green room? I don't know. Whatever little backstage room. He came in there like, yeah, I got these niggas lined up around the door.
Right.
And
Maul was like,
nah, we have them. And he was like, the reason I was thinking that was because I've been with you when you were on tour. You never done this when you were rapping. You know what I mean? Like we did this too. And I just thought to myself, like, that shows us a lot of ego to the point where if his bag were straight, he was cool. There's plenty of times I listened to the podcast and he was like, he ain't talked about exactly what he had or anything like that, but he was talking about, yeah, because I'm a millionaire, so on and so forth. And I've never heard Rory or Maul say that. Now, I can't say that a lot of the money you got now was because of your rap career. Because even you said you stopped because you wasn't getting paid. So I have to assume that a lot of the money that you've acquired to this point was Media Joe and whatever bags. You didn't do that by yourself, bro.
Right.
You had tons of help, whether it been co-host or whether it been whatever company, whatever. You have tons of help. So to sit there and say that you did this is foul. One of the things he said too, to kind of rub me the wrong way, he was like, yeah, y'all start your own podcast without the Joe Budden stimulus package. And I'm like, wait, what?
Like, you know they can, right?
Right. Not only do you know they can, but you do realize that this shit ain't where it is now because of you solely. Right. Because if that was the case, you could have rocked it out by yourself. You could have did what Joe Rogan does and had a guest every now and again. Right. And if that was the case, but no, that's not the case. But you said it just like everybody said. The reason that show worked is because of the chemistry you guys had.
And that goes back to my point. If Joe Budden decides to go to the route of Rogan, which is very funny terminology, if Joe Budden decides to go the route of Rogan, who is there? Because we can name people that Joe Budden has fucked over. Like we just got done saying, Def Jam, Slaughterhouse, the cast from State of the Culture, the cast of Everyday Struggle, Rory and Maul. We can name all these people. Shit, his own the people hosting other shows that he has on his network. Those are the people that we see he's had a problem with. We don't know what other problems he has. So he doesn't have the network that Joe Rogan has to bring people on to really, I mean, shit, even Kevin Hart was talking. I've never seen Kevin Hart talk about any podcast on his radio show. I've never seen it. He only talks about everybody's hustles. Kevin Hart had a conversation about this.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
straight from the heart.
A lot of people had a conversation about this. Hell, yesterday, I was trying to find whatever if he had like said anything about it. I was trying to find it, and I was on Google podcast, so I typed in Joe Budden, and it was a whole bunch of other podcasts that were talking about this particular thing. I'm like, wow.
Man, it's not gonna end. It's not gonna end well.
No, it's not gonna end well. And honestly, where do you think he goes from here?
We're gonna watch shit start to dwindle. We'll see the shows that he has on his network start to go away until it's right back down to the Joe Budden podcast. His ego may allow him to go the route of Rogan for a little bit, and then I just see it kind of going away with no accountability taken.
See, I agree completely with that, but I honestly don't think he'll get the same viewership.
No, nowhere near. No, but we see that. We saw that with him bringing on the two new dudes. The shit started to gradually go down and down and down.
I think in order for him to kind of maintain this space, if this is something he wants to do, maybe he can be a guest or like a host on somebody else's show where he's not the catalyst behind it. But I don't see it being good for Joe.
I don't think I think Joe thinks he's bigger than what he actually is. So I don't think he wants to be under anyone umbrella but his own.
And as a fan, I'm looking at it like, Joe, nah, I can't. I give everybody, I have a 3-strike rule. Well, technically a 2-strike rule. The first time you do something, you did something foul. The second time, that was on me because you did something foul. But there's never a third time. Never. Joe, you literally said fuck us as fans of your music, and then you turn around and you do this shit. I'm not coming back to check for you, Joe.
Fuck us as fans of your podcast. I was like, I don't want to deal with anything else.
Yeah, I'm not coming back to check for Joe Budden. And for me, that's a big statement. If you know how much of a fan I was of his music,
right? I do.
I'm not checking for Joe no more. He was completely foul in this, completely wrong. Now, granted, I know everything is hindsight. So I'm sure he looked back and was like, yeah, I could have did certain things different. But regardless on if it was hindsight or not, a lot of shit you was doing right in that moment were flat out foul, and you knew they were foul.
You knew the foul when it was happening, but now you're caught.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. We're watching a man that's caught and trying to backtrack and try to manipulate how certain things look. And you said it best. You were caught.
So we'll see what happens. I will definitely be watching though. Yeah. We might as well call that an episode because we are an hour and 32 in. But
welcome back, Air Hustlers.
Welcome back, goddammit. Make sure y'all follow us at The Noize Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow all things Beat Network at beatnetworkonline.com. Shop The Noize, thenoizemerch.threadless.com. Get yourself some Noize merch. Buy it, wear it, rock it. I'm going to come up with something different somewhere down the line. Shout out to the new followers of the Facebook page as well. I don't know if you were seeing the notifications, but we were just starting.
Yeah.
A bunch of
I'm
fucking
not on
randos.
Facebook. No, like I deleted the app. You know, I mean, the only app I actually have is Instagram. So I deleted the app on Facebook, but I can still get it through like regular browser type shit. And I see the notifications like, oh, this little group is moving in
right,
here.
You know what I'm saying? You know, hello, welcome, goddammit, welcome. So while you're at it, if you're a hip hop person, turn my mic up, hip hop community. Go ahead and join that conversation as well. Trust me, they are still up there getting active. Yeah. So as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we appreciate the support. And as always, big Los.
Hollywood Kev.
It's The Noize.